Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Mariana Borrull desde el set de Kinótico en el Festival Internacional de Cine Fantástico de Cataluña, Festival de Sitges, un set patrocinado por Repsol en colaboración con la ESCAC. Y hoy recibimos a Chris Stuckmann. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing really well. This is amazing. I've never been to Sitges. I've never been to Spain. First time here. It's beautiful. I love it.
Kind of scary as well.
Customs took 2 hours yesterday. It was a very long line, but no, it's great to be here.
Chris, you're here with your first feature film, Shelby Oaks, competing in the official section. This is a dark investigation following a woman, a regular woman, Camille Sullivan, who is granted with the cursed hope of a new clue in the disappearance of her sister.
Yeah.
It's been 6 years in the making of this
hmm
film. What was the juice in the history, in the story you wanted to tell that actually kept you going forward?
Oh wow. I think the fact that it comes from a personal aspect of my life. As a kid, I was separated from my sister for a very, very long time. Raised in a religion that forced us to separate. I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and not seeing my sister for over 15 years was a very, very bizarre experience for a child to contemplate because that happened when I was 12, and so
Wow.
being told that your sister is quote unquote spiritually dead, but knowing that she is alive, but not being allowed to speak to her, always kind of stayed with me. And I knew that if I could find a way to get sort of that demon out of me in a genre story, um, that this was my chance. And so that I think being able to have something about it that felt personal in some way, that allowed me to kind of hurdle over all of the development issues and the COVID and the strikes and things that kept pushing our shoot back, um, knowing that there was a personal story that I wanted to kind of get out of me, but make it be, a genre movie as well, like a scary movie, kept me going.
This is actually the feature that separates the movie from other indie horror flicks that we're seeing nowadays. That's definitely a genre, and we actually see the demonic culprits that have separated,
Yeah.
Camille's sisters, Mia's sisters. So when these demons appear in the movie, when did you decide to make it actually, a demonic film?
I think part of it does come from the fact that as a kid, when that happened to me and my sister, it did feel like there was some kind of oppressive force that we had no control over, that was just that we couldn't do anything about. It was this unseen, it felt like it was this unseen powers that be that were like, you cannot be with your sister anymore. You will be separated. And I think that's a very terrifying feeling to feel like you don't have control over your life, or that you don't have control over your choices. And I wanted to try to find a way to have this demonic presence in the movie wherever it does feel like the dominoes have already started toppling and you can't do anything about it. Like, it's happening and you have to figure out how to fight against that. So it was this notion of like an unseen force that's kind of like puppeteering your life, and there's nothing you can do about it, that I thought was very terrifying.
There's also this kind of this familiarity without guilt that we actually tend to see in these genre pieces, that's very present in your movie. Why do you think horror tends to relate this easily with this familiarity without guilt? These formulas that keep repeating but that feel very good
Sure.
because we actually know them.
I think I love the horror genre. This movie's a love letter to the horror genre. It's made. I think I'm still alive because of horror movies and horror books. I think they kept me going through a very dark period in my life because I could read horror novels, I could watch horror movies, and I could be like, okay, I can. I don't have it that bad because these characters in these movies and books, they're having a really bad time. I think I'll be okay. And I wanted to make a movie that felt like it had a personal aspect of my life in it, but that also was a gigantic thank you to the horror genre that has kept me alive and kept me excited about going to the movies.
You've talked a lot about late manga
Yeah.
as one of your direct influences. What I've seen it and I've been horrified by it,
Yeah.
but why do you think it's such a great film?
I think, well, first off, it does feel very real. The actors in it are incredible. They do feel like they're real people being interviewed, but it also has this sense of family terror, you know, the sort of like not being able to grieve properly, not understanding exactly what's going on in your family, that I think for me is scarier than like a bump in the night type thing, you know? Something that feels a little more raw.
Yeah. Um, I'm thinking about this film in the trend of the films that the Philippou brothers have
Sure.
inaugurated in a way. But you've been making films, amateur films, since you were 14,
Yeah.
so you're not new in this
Yeah.
film field. But anyway, you've been known as the film bluff
Sure.
forever in your life, in your public career.
Yeah.
Is this any challenge in trying to explain yourself as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I think that when you, it's a blessing and a curse. You know, it's a blessing because there are people who want to see an indie horror movie that I made, which is great. And a lot of directors who make a cheap indie horror movie, they don't have anybody that wants to see it, and they're out there just trying to get people to see it. And it's great that people want to see this. But also, yeah, I mean, it is a low budget independent movie that we shot in Ohio for not a lot of money at all. But because of my background, I think it will probably be judged differently just because of that. And that's okay. That's a hurdle that I have to get over for this first one. If I make a second movie and people are still like, so tell me about being a film critic, I'm going to be like, guys, it happened and I made a movie and now we're doing another movie. And it's like, we're ready to move on now. And I get it though, but it's valid. It's valid. If I would ask the same thing of someone if they had come from, primarily a film critic background. A good buddy of mine, C. Robert Cargill, who wrote Doctor Strange and Sinister and Black Phone 2, which is also showing here. He started as a film critic too.
Yeah.
He wrote for Ain't It Cool News back in the day. And so he's been a good guiding light of like, look, you're going to get asked that a lot and just accept that and move on and then make another movie, you know?
Actually, Neon bought the film after it was screened in the Fright Fest, I think, and increased the budget of
Yeah.
the film of the 1.4 million Kickstarter campaign you raised. Um, it was a creative compromise without compromising your vision. How rare is that in the industry
Oh
right
my
now?
God. So basically, and you probably know this from other interviews I've done, but like, they read my original script and saw value in a few moments and were like, would you like the money to do those things? It was a dream come true, honestly, because I had already just decided that those things I wanted to do were not ever going to be in the movie. And because we didn't have any more money, and to get in there and actually be able to shoot those handful of moments that I always wanted to be in there, it was like I talked to a lot of filmmakers about that, and they're like, "You have no idea how rare that is."
It is rare.
Yeah, yeah, it's so rare to have a studio like Neon see value in their filmmakers, and that's what they always say over there. Tom Quinn at Neon, he always says, "Filmmaker first, filmmaker first." And so, when they found out that there were things I wanted to do and that I never got to shoot, I still can't believe they gave me the chance to do it. I really can't. I'm so happy about it.
But it's working out. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the figures behind Terrifier 3, for example,
Right.
or Long Legs,
Yes.
I think we're living through a renaissance in the indie horror genre. I don't know
Yes,
if
I
you
hope so.
agree.
I hope so. Yeah. No, I mean, horror is one of the last genres that Hollywood and, they still let filmmakers do really strange things because the audience shows up, like you said. People come to see weird horror movies. They fill theaters to watch really violent, gory horror movies. And they love it. And so the fact that the horror community is so supportive and so welcoming of all different types of voices, Hollywood can't ignore that. They can't be like, no, don't do that weird, bizarre thing you want to do, because people will come to support it. It's great.
Um, there's a certain kind of net you've built around cinephilia. I don't know, for example, with your producer Aaron V. Coons or with Mike Flanagan,
Yeah.
you got to know them talking about the films.
Yeah.
What are some of the do or don'ts that you would recommend to, starting filmmakers
Sure.
in approaching these established figures?
Wow. That's a great question. I think the number one thing that I would say is try to avoid looking like you want their help. Don't walk into any situation trying to sell yourself, because they can smell it a mile away. Um, for both of them, it really just, it started with, like you said, just kind of chatting about movies, connecting on this shared love of film. And then later on, the idea of talking about movies professionally kind of organically came about because we had already become friends, And I think that's the hard thing, is because I've had people come up to me and with their ideas and stuff, and you can always kind of tell, like, you don't even want to talk to me at all. You just want me to, like, somehow help you make a thing. And I don't know how to do that. But I do know how to become friends with fellow cinephiles and people who love movies.
Yeah.
And then after that, that part kind of comes more naturally. We're like, so what are you working on? Are you working on anything? Are you writing anything? And that's where the door kind of starts to open.
So this is the last question. You are now only reviewing films you like in your YouTube channel, which I believe it's a very good move. But uh, have the reactions of the audience towards this decision
Yeah.
surprised you in any way? And
No, it didn't surprise me. I figured people wouldn't be happy about that. And I
They haven't
understand.
been happy about that.
Well, I mean, initially there was some pushback, but it has changed over the past few months, I would say. I think people understand. I just wasn't happy anymore talking negatively about movies. It was making me feel very depressed a lot all the time. And I wanted to support this art form that like I said, has saved my life. And the idea of, like, going to see a movie, being disappointed, and then you turn on the camera and you're living in that disappointment, and then you're editing the video and you're living in the disappointment, and your whole day just becomes filled with negativity. And it was doing a number on me, and I'm a father now. And so I want to be in a positive place for my children as often as I possibly can, so that they can see that. And being positive about movies, it's not just about, well, I'm making movies now, so I have to be nice. It's genuinely made me a happier person. And I love the idea of supporting, like, smaller films like Bone Lake or Good Boy, that are both, out right now in the States, that are great, that, somebody maybe needs to hear about that from somebody like me to go see it. And that's the idea, is just, like, continue to share this love of movies with people.
Amazing. Well, I hope you find a lot of inspiring movies here in Festival de Sitges.
Thank you.
Chris. Y gracias a vosotros. Seguimos en el set de Kinótico, patrocinado por Repsol en colaboración con la ESCAC desde el Festival de Sitges. Hasta pronto.